Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and welcome to a brand new matchup. These are going to be called full details or full breakdown matches. You see, these matches are going to entail having full details for each character. So they may take a while, and they may be longer than, let's say, around my usual 12 to probably 11-minute videos, okay? So today here we have Monster X from the Godzilla franchise, both the comics and movies, versus Uranos from Marvel 616. Let's begin. And we'll start off with the scaling here. Now, we'll start off with the Kiryu scaling, obviously. So Kiryu is pretty much the strongest form of Mechagodzilla. This is important here because he scales above Mogira. Mogira is actually stated to be superior to Super Mechagodzilla or Super Mechagodzilla 2. And this was shown in the manga adaptation for the movie, I believe. And Mogira was able to one-shot Super Mechagodzilla 2, which actually puts Mogira relatively above the Red Spiral Ray. Red Spiral Ray. And Mogira, in their second fight after receiving upgrades, was actually able to damage and even, destroy some of the crystals of Space Godzilla. Space Godzilla is an entity, or at least a Godzilla clone, if you will, but let's just call him an entity for respect's sake, right? Is an entity that pretty much fell into a black hole, was bombarded by supernovas, and absorbed countless or infinite amounts of cosmic energy in order to get where he was now. Space Godzilla is also able to bend 4D constructs within the Godzilla, or at least within the Heisei universe. The Heisei universe being infinite in size. Actually, yeah, this is the case here. If you guys don't want to take my word for it, or if you want more compound evidence, go to Godzilla King of the Monsters channel, or just look up how strong is Heisei Godzilla, and then go to his part 2 in order to get a full breakdown of that, okay? So this will put Kiryu around the marks of Universal to, well, basically Universal Plus. If not, you could actually argue Multiversal, considering he's scaling above 2 Universal entities. We also have the Ustan Ikuzagami and Yamato no Orochi scaling. Now, again, I've updated this over the years, so let's really get into it. Ustan Ikuzagami is around the same level as Godzilla. If not, you could say slightly below the likes of Godzilla. And I've also stated that he has the ability to literally split time in half. Again, with doing this into an infinite universe, probably having an infinite timeline as well, this is actually pretty impressive. However, the scaling really comes from his enemy, or his brother, I believe, with his Yamato no Orochi. Now again, go to Godzilla King of the Monsters channel if you want the full context around this. But Yamato no Orochi is actually capable of bending hyperspace energy, which actually bends space and time and can affect the fourth dimensional plane and even defeat beings in a fourth dimensional way. And yet Godzilla is not only able to fight these entities, but he's able to kill them. Not kill them, or he at least beat them, but he probably killed them, because you know how Godzilla works. So yeah, you would have the Yamato no Orochi scaling plus Ustan Ikuzagami. This again will count as 2 universal entities above, with Godzilla being above them. So again, another multiversal scaling. The next one up is Leo Mothra, or Mothra Leo. Now, Mothra Leo was able to defeat Desi, or Death Ghidorah, who I've scaled previously in other matches on my channel. And Desi Ghidorah, or Death here, is able to absorb enough power to destroy the universe, meaning he has universal powers. Then the fact that King Ghidorah should be above this as well, and we'll get into his scaling in a little bit. He's able to fight against and even defeat Zone Fighter, who's able to destroy monsters and even fight monsters within a fourth dimensional plane. These guys were actually using the fourth dimensional plane, I believe, as a power source, by the way. Now, into the King Ghidorah scaling. King Ghidorah is the strongest monster on Earth, and it actually was stated in the guidebooks he was actually the strongest monster, stronger than the monsters on Earth, probably the most powerful one here. And this is where we get into like the other monster scaling as well. King Ghidorah should be above his own durability as well. This is coming from Gorosaurus, who, if you guys have actually watched the movie Destroy All Monsters, Gorosaurus was actually able to break King Ghidorah's back with his signature kangaroo kick. And then you have monsters like Anguirus, Baragon, Manda, Zilla, King Caesar, Sanda, and Goriah. These monsters would scale to this as well, or at least in some cases scale above Gorosaurus, who has the attack potency to basically break King Ghidorah's back. Again, an entity that would scale above his predecessors, including the likes of Cretaceous Ghidorah, who actually was stated that Leo Mothra beating him was a miracle, meaning that Leo Mothra almost actually lost that fight. And sorry, he almost lost that fight. And then him being above Death Ghidorah, again, both having universal powers, you can actually make the argument for Outerversal for Leo Mothra, due to one of his abilities being able to manipulate and actually control fate itself, the very concept of fate. Okay. And then we have Monster X's feat itself. He's been able to basically beat down Godzilla, being able to blitz and even tag Mothra and Batra, being able to hit, Mothra with his energy blast, crushing Kumonga, who's been able to tank Godzilla's atomic breath, as well as being able to restrain monsters like Gigan. And we have, the Rage Across Time scaling as well. We even have him being above the likes of Space Godzilla and him being above the likes of Kiryu, who I've showed before, or who I pretty much scaled in the beginning of this video, with Kiryu being, again, you could say universal plus, or if not, multiversal, due to, again, scaling above two entities that are capable of destroying the infinite universe of the Heisei Godzillaverse. Okay? Now, in terms of the IDW Godzilla scaling, you guys know how I am with it. Godzilla could easily scale from multiversal to outerversal, but considering he fought Rage Across Time Godzilla, we'll be using his scaling in a little bit. But again, we have to remember that he's done these feats. He's tanked Godzilla's atomic breath and actually dished out his own damage to put Godzilla down on his knees. He's easily above, again, Kiryu with the additional weaponry, even being immune to the absolute zero cannon, which has pretty much knocked down and even knocked out Godzilla before. Now, in terms of scaling here, we do have the fact that Rage Across Time Godzilla is above the Greek gods. This puts him at an outerversal level, above the likes of not only Zeus, but above the Titans. Now, you guys know how I scale Zeus here. It's kind of like a chain link scaling, because that's just, I don't know, it's easier for me like that. But here you have Zeus, who's been able to defeat Kronos, who pretty much he castrated his father, Uranos, and Uranos was able to pretty much defeat the literal concept of chaos. So, yeah. You also have the fact that in Rivals, the additional, scaling for the IDW Godzilla was able to one-shot 3 Kiryus at once. So with that being said here, Monster X has multiversal to outerversal power, pretty much, power level. Now onto his opponent, Uranos. Now, Uranos is an Eternal, one of the first few Eternals, by the way. And he has shown, despite his limited feats, he's shown something incredible. Not only has he broken out of Magneto's grasp and laughed about it, he was able to defeat both Icarus and Gilgamesh together. Now, what's important about Magneto's grasp is not a lot of characters can break it, and those who break it are actually extremely exhausted from it. Characters like Red Hulk have broken out of his grasp and have been able to barely move or barely withstand assaults afterwards. This is important because Red Hulk has, I would probably say he's above the Savage Hulk, because Savage Hulk actually had to beat him with, he had to beat him in a battle of stamina. It came down to stamina at the end of it. And Hulk has been able to destroy Nightmare's realm, Savage Hulk, by the way. And Nightmare's realm is literally the concept of imagination. So him being able to destroy imagination itself here. There's also the Thanos scaling. Now, to put some context on Icarus and Gilgamesh, or Icarus and the Eternals fighting against Thanos, this is pretty important because Thanos here was actually dying. His body was actually breaking down, and he was having a hard time, keeping his body together. Yet this dude was still running fades left and right. It's absolutely insane. Now, yes, at the end of this series, he does get his body, back to normal and stuff. But still, the fact remains that this would not scale him to Odin. The way when he was with Odin, fighting Odin, he was pretty much at full power at that time. However, This would scale them to around, I would basically say around the same level as the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, which is supposed to be a team meant to basically rival, if not surpass, the Avengers. This even includes characters like Gladiator, who have multiversal to outerversal level feats. You then have the fact that Uranos has some insane hatch resistance, being able to literally laugh off Cable's energy blasts, and being able to withstand the combined might of both Magneto and Storm going all out. And this is a bloodlusted Magneto, by the way. So a bloodlusted Magneto and Storm, by the way. So they're actually trying to get their, get back. And he was only brought down to his knees, but was bleeding heavily. Now, Storm has actually come a long way. She's actually been able to manhandle and defeat Vulcan, someone who's gone toe-to-toe with Adam Warlock and Black Bolt. Now, I would be doing the disservice if I said Storm wasn't a universal entity herself, but I would probably give it the benefit of the doubt and say maybe that Magneto's using a lot more power than her. And again, you have the Cable scaling, who's able to fight against Silver Surfer, who's, again, an universal entity. There's also the fact that Uranos has overpowered resistances, being able to stalemate Legion in pretty much Legion's own mindscape, by the way, and was able to eventually defeat him by tricking him. He also possesses, matter manipulation or molecular manipulation, being able to turn entities into ice. And he has tech capable of wiping out the entire Araco planet itself pretty easily. So, with that being said here, you basically have this overpowered version of Thanos. We also know the context behind this. Uranos only had an hour to do this. So Uranos beat mutants capable of destroying not only universes, but higher dimensional planes, by the way. And he was able to do this within an hour. So let's begin. Let's break this down. Who wins at the end of the day, right? Now, Uranos, in my opinion, has done some crazy, ridiculous stuff in just a short amount of time. And I hope he comes back. I really do. I hope he comes back. He definitely scales above the rest of these Eternals. The Eternals, being probably around the same level as Gladiator. But I would probably say he's more physical than Monster X. I would probably say he's stronger. I would definitely say that. I would say physically he's stronger, but not by a huge margin. But Monster X is leagues above him in speed. For starters, you have pretty much the time scaling as well, with Mechagodzilla being able to travel through time, and other entities like the Bird of Amaterasu, or basically the bird from Orochi, the 8-headed dragon movie, being able to travel through time. This puts him at immeasurable to inaccessible speeds, meaning that Monster X can not only perceive these speeds, but he would have to be able to move, react, and think at these speeds. Now, you do have Marvel scaling, which actually shows Uranos does have some, immeasurable speed scaling as well. However, Monster X is simply just much more consistent with his speed and abilities, and just because he's been around longer. There's also the Haxes department. Uranos really doesn't have too many Haxes, but he does have a Hax resistance. Monster X should have the abilities of every Ghidorah that was before him, considering he is the evolved state of a King Ghidorah. And him being able to use things like invisibility, teleportation, and actually create a dome that he can use to drain Uranos' life energy. And with him only being able to break out due to things like, I guess you could say, magic, if you will, it actually cements that I actually do cement that Monster X will win this fight with extreme difficulty due to the sheer scaling and magnitude of not only his verse, but if I had to really say, their verses actually do balance out, but the characters here that they're fighting, they also pretty much balance out each other. You might have to make an exception for Legion, but remember, Uranos tricked him into kind of like letting his guard down so that he could get him. So at the end of the day, I would probably favor Monster X more often than not. But let me know what you guys think down below. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.